In this video, we're going to do a couple examples of determining which lines, if any, are perpendicular when we're given the equations of the lines. So let's go ahead and start. Here we see that we're given three lines, line A, line B, and line C. In order to determine if two lines are perpendicular, we need to compare their slopes. So remember from our slope-intercept form that y equals mx plus b, where the m is our slope. So if we can get our equations into y equals mx plus b form, or slope-intercept form, then we can find our slopes. So let's take a look at line A. Here we see that we have y equals 3/4 x plus 1, and we see that the m is already in its correct spot. So we're able to say that the slope of line A is 3/4. Let's take a look at line B. Here we have negative 3y equals 4x minus 3. Well, here the y is not by itself, so we're going to need to divide everything by negative 3. So that way, the y is now by itself. So now we'll have negative 4/3x plus 1. So because the y is by itself, we have y equals mx plus b. So we now have the slope of this line, line B, is negative 4/3. Let's take a look at line C. Here we have 4y equals negative 3x plus 9. We just need to get the y by itself. So we're going to divide everything by 4, which is going to give us y equals negative 3/4x plus 9/4. And so our m is the negative 3/4. So we'll write that down. M equals negative 3/4. So remember that perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So opposite reciprocal means one is positive and one is negative. And reciprocal means flip-flopped. So we know that line B and line C can't be perpendicular because they're both negative. So we're going to compare them both with the slope of line A. Now we have a couple choices. So we can take those and go, oh, what are they flipped? What does that look like? So if we were to flip this, we would see that the perpendicular slope for this m would be a not negative, but a positive 3/4, because we'll flip those and then change our symbol, and the perpendicular slope for this is a positive 4/3. And so here we would see that line A is perpendicular to line B. Now another choice would be to take the slopes. So we could take the 3/4 and we could multiply that with our negative 4/3. And when we multiply that, we're going to get a value of negative 1. So if our two slopes multiply and give us a negative 1, then that means that these two lines are perpendicular, which again would be line A is perpendicular to line B. Let's do another example. So here we're going to determine which of the lines, if any, are perpendicular. So line A is 2x plus 6y equals negative 3. Line B is y equals 3x minus 8. And line C is negative 6y plus 12x equals 9. So let's start with line A. So we're trying to get the a by itself, or the y rather by itself. So we're going to subtract the 2x from both sides. So now we have 6y equals negative 2x minus 3. Then we're going to divide everything by 6, leaving us with y equals negative 1/3x minus 1/2. So this is our equation for line A. From there, we can compare our slopes, or grab our m, and see that our slope is negative 1/3. If we look at line B, we see that it's already in slope-intercept form, and our slope is really easy to find here as it's just the number 3. But for line C, we need to get the y by itself. So we'll begin by subtracting 12x from both sides, which gives us negative 6y equals negative 12x plus 9. Then we'll divide everything by negative 6 to get the negative 6 to go away. And that's going to leave us with a 2x minus, and 9 over 6 reduces. If we reduce that, we get 3 halves, so 3 halves. And so here we can find our m, right? So this was line B, and this is line C stuff. So here we find an m of 2. So if we look at our lines, or our slopes rather, we have 3 numbers that we're comparing. We're comparing negative 1/3, 3, and 2. So as we go to compare those, because perpendicular slopes are opposite reciprocals, that means in order for line C to be perpendicular with either A or B, they would need to have a 2 in it, and they don't. So right away, we can go ahead and we can say, you know, line C is not going to be one of them. So for line A and line B, we can check those by seeing if they are opposite reciprocals, which one is positive and one is negative, and they do happen to be flip-flops of each other, right? Negative 1 over 3 turns into a negative 3, and so we'd want a positive 3, so that would work. Now we can also multiply those together, and if we get a negative 1, then we know that they are also perpendicular. So if we multiply those, we get a negative 1, thus saying that they're perpendicular. So we can then say that line A is perpendicular to line B. And that would be our answer. And the reasoning would be because they have opposite reciprocal slopes, or you could say that they multiply to a negative 1. Either of those would be good explanations you could use.